Hello, hello, hello. So we're going to see if we have any audio problems. So my question for you is, can you hear me? And I'm hoping you respond yes, but I'm also going to write that down in the chat. And we shall see, because it's good. Yay, I got a couple yeses. Wonderful. The problem is I get used to having easy connections and then I don't really think about troubleshooting. And then the minute I feel good about connecting, there's issues. But I'm just grateful that we've got another mini healing without issues. So I'm hoping everybody is having a good day. When I selected the 20th, because I've sort of decided I'd like to do it like the middle of the month on a Sunday, because that seems to be pretty popular. And I wasn't really paying attention to Easter. I was raised in the Christian faith. It's not really something, Easter isn't a holiday that I make an effort to go visit family, because my family is hours away. But today I did, because it was my sister's birthday. So, and my sister doesn't normally celebrate her birthday. So I thought, okay, it's worth a 2.5-hour drive each way for lunch. So it was lovely. Very nice. So yes, so I'm sitting here. I have a little dog here, a little kitty over there. So the room is full of healing. And so tonight we're going to start with a healing pulse in about 3 minutes. And then, so I've been thinking with the middle healing of the month, I'd like to do some different things than what I usually do for the mini healing on the first. So, and some of you know about this, where I have you guys send me a positive emotion, and then I pick 2 more emotions. So I like doing that. But still, I know some of you really have things going on that you want to work on. If you've got an emotional that you're extra sensitive about, or if you've got any pain or discomfort. So I think I'll leave it up to you guys if you want to do the positive thing, or if you need to work on a specific issue. So I'm trying to see, I think before we did some brain balancing, but I need to find 1 or 2 little new things that are fun. And we've been doing brain balancing quite a bit. So I probably don't plan on doing that, because we've done that almost every time. Once or twice a month since like January. Yeah. Once or twice a month since December, actually. So I don't think we'll do that tonight, the good luck, bad luck button, but we'll do some other things. So I'm hoping everybody is good. So, and I'm still thinking about dropping Facebook. It seems less and less people connect to me through it. And Facebook has decided they're going to delete all my videos. And the new videos they're going to let stay up a month, and then they're going to delete them. Versus YouTube, so far they just keep everything, which is fabulous. So, but just something to be aware of. I always post on both Facebook and YouTube any events that are coming up. So if you have trouble finding me on YouTube, which most of you don't, but every once in a while I hear that. So people that aren't very familiar with. Wonderful. I realized on my YouTube, for things I like to watch, I have too many notifications set. So when I get notified, it's like my phone explodes, and I just need to focus on things I really want to be notified with. And part of that is I use my YouTube like I used to use my television, in the old days when you just, surf channels and turn things. And yep, now I just do that on YouTube. So let's start with the healing pulse. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Susan Snyder. So we have at least one new person tonight. So the healing pulse is a wonderful thing because the energy goes to where you direct it to go. And it can work on physical, it can work on emotional, and it's a pretty easy thing to direct. So the only thing that might be a little difficult is if you are working on some emotions that are challenging, part of working with them is finding out where they live. Let me give an example. So when I feel anxious, it lets me know in the pit of my stomach. So that's where I'm going to direct energy to. But think about, so when you're super mad, where do you feel it? And so that's sort of an example of how you're going to direct your energy. So I want you to rub your hands together and place your hands exactly where you want to receive the energy. I'm going to place my hands on top of your hands so you're getting your own healing frequencies plus mine. And then the most important part is just allowing the energy to flow. With each breath in, imagine the energy goes a little deeper. With each breath out, imagine you're releasing something that needs to be released. Maybe it doesn't even belong to you. And there's Marina. Welcome, Marina. Glad you're here. And so just imagine with each breath in, it's going deeper. With each breath out, you're releasing. And we'll do this for just a short period of time. Okay, so that was the first healing pulse. Not everybody experiences what it feels like, but many do. And those who do experience the energies of the healing pulse, usually the second and third pulse are stronger than the first. And so we're going to do 3 healing pulses tonight. So we'll do another one in about 15 minutes and then the third one in about 30 minutes. So I try and do 15 minutes after, 30 minutes after, and 45 minutes after. Although sometimes I get a little distracted and we're a little late, but most of the time I'm pretty good about it. But let's start. I got my book. Today is show number 173. Duncan's a little restless. I usually bring them with me when I go visit my family, and I was a little too tired. There's sort of a lot of work traveling. Dexter's wild and crazy, and Duncan has lost a lot of his eyesight, so it's a lot of extra work. So they stayed home, and now they're extra needy. And now, do you hear something growling in the background? That's Dexter. Dexter, what's going on? Oh, you poor thing. He thinks Duncan's going to stand on him. Are you okay? All right. Okay, so we're at that time where if you want to work on something, put it in the comments. So if you want to work on the positive, I don't even have a full name for it. So I'm imbuing or strengthening positive emotions. So if you want to do that, put what positive emotion you want to imbue, and then I'll add 2 more. Actually, Duncan's pretty laid back, but he although he's only 5, he's recently lost a lot of his eyesight, so he doesn't always know what's going on. So, because he was just sort of trying to walk, and Dexter was under a blanket. So, all right. So, Angel Light, she's got our first one. She's going to work on love. That is wonderful, Angel Light. And then if you have anything physical going on, anything emotional going on, and you'd rather, look at trapped emotions, put what your work or what you would like to work on. All right, so let's see what Angel Knight gets. Okay, so let's see. Or if you just want to hang out and see what happens, that's fine too. All right, so AJ, more of a sense of humor. I can relate to that, AJ. Sometimes life is maybe way too serious. It's not very fun. All right. Okay, so Angel Knight, you would put love, and so I thought you were going to do the positive emotions, but now you've got feeling worthy. Which one do you prefer? Amanda, we've got worry and fear. So we'll start with one, but if the group stays small, we'll probably be able to do a couple for each person, which we haven't done in quite a while. Okay, so Susan wants to work on a stuck emotion. Then you've got left heel. I guess I don't know what left heel means. And you've got pendulum, higher self, said past life trauma. But I still don't know what left heel means. So we'll see what comes up. My goal for this type of healing is that it's quick. So sometimes past life stuff is quick. Sometimes it's not. Okay. So Angel Knight, you've got love, then you've got feeling worthy, and then you've got hearts. Oh, that makes sense now, Susan. Pain in left heel. Yes. All right. So I'm going to skip Angel Knight until I know what we're going to focus on for you, if it's trapped emotions or it is it positive emotions. So we're going to, oh, and there's Marina. Marina wants to work on friendliness. I think that's a great one for you. Okay, so Angel Knight, we're going to put worthy. Okay. So, Angel Knight, I'll come back to you. So, I'm working on AJ, who wants to work on more of the sense of humor. So, let's see what trapped emotions you've got that are making you so serious, AJ. And it's the word excluded. So that sort of makes sense, because if you're excluded from conversation, events, friendships, it's harder to find humor, especially when you're being excluded. So let me get an age and see if that lines up with your memory, AJ. Getting around age 19. Now, ages are the hardest, so usually it's within like a year. So 18, 19, 20, was there some type of, was there an event, or did you have a friendship that things changed and so you were pretty much left out? So let's go ahead and release that energy. So that did release. All right. And if things stay really quiet, sure, and I'm going to, so if things stay really quiet, I'll most likely be adding some extra opportunity for healing. So Anne's got a cold, flu, and chest. So I'll work on you individually, Anne, but also in about 8 minutes, we're going to do our next healing pulse, and I would suggest using that to help you. And so I'll give you instructions once we get there. All right, so Angel Knight wants to work on feeling more worthy. So let's see. So, Angel Knight, I get the word naive. Let me see what age this occurred around. Something when you were quite young. So I'm getting that you were like 9. So somewhere 8, 9, 10. And at 9, you wouldn't know you were naive. But I wonder now, being an adult, Angel Knight, if you look back and realize there was something that happened that you were pretty naive and it affected you in a deep way. So let's go and release that energy of the trapped emotion of naive. And if you're a healer, pretty much you know what to do. Assist me in releasing all the remnants and residual energies of the trapped emotion. Previously, I just used to clear it, but I realized that sometimes just a little film of residue remains. And for people who are sensitive, that's sort of important. So if you are not a healer, but you really want to help, which I suggest you do, pray to whatever your belief system allows. So pray to God, pray to the universe, pray to source, and just imagine that this is released from you. Okay, so Jeffrey, we're going to add to the list. Welcome, Jeffrey, and I'm going to put overwhelmed. Okay, Amanda. Amanda wants to work on releasing worry and fear. So let me just check. Can we do those together? So we're going to start with worry, Amanda. Let's see, how many instances of worry do you have as a trapped emotion? And these are just ones that are layered throughout. So when I talk about layers, it's sort of like an onion layer. And so sometimes there's many layers. Sometimes some of the layers are invisible or hidden. And so those only come up when directly referenced or they're on the very top. So let's just see how many layers of worry are there that we have access to that we can clear. 6. All right, so can we clear all 6 at the same time? No. Can we do 3 at a time? Yes. All right, so Amanda, we're going to clear layers 1 through 3 of worry. So releasing and removing these layers of worry. And 3 usually takes a little bit more than 1. Okay, so then I'm going to check individually and just see, did layer 1 release? Yes. Layer 2? Yes. Layers 3? Yes. Okay. Next, we're going to work on releasing layers 4, 5, and 6. And Susan is next after Amanda. Okay, so let me check and see. Did layer 4 of worry release for Amanda? Yes. Layer 5? Yes. Layer 6? Yes. Wonderful. Okay. Next, Susan has a pain in her left heel. And she had commented that it might be a past life thing. And there might be, but I'm not getting that currently. So again, it might be like a layer, but I'm getting there's something on top that we need to work on. So let's just see what that is. So this word has come up before, I think once. And this word sort of puzzles me. So maybe you guys can help me. It's the word unmindful. Now we pretty much know about what mindfulness is, but I'm not really sure if unmindful is technically a word. So, but my belief is that when you're mindful, you're paying attention, especially to that innerness. And inner here, heart, but also intuition. Now, when you're not mindful, which I like better than unmindful, when you're not mindful, you're not really paying attention to your own thoughts and feelings and intuition. So that's what my thought is of unmindful. Anybody else have a better way of thinking about what that is? So this is for Susan. Let me get an age, and maybe Susan can connect this to an event or sort of a lifestyle during a certain age. So Amanda, there probably is more layers, but part of it is not all layers are visible. And so those are the ones that we could see. Sometimes there are things buried so deeply that we need to work on the things closer to the top. And the layers are not always chronological. But those 6 that we released are the most important ones for us to release right now today. So I'm hoping that helps. But especially if you are triggered by worry, I would keep working on worry, especially since when you have trapped emotions multiple times, it makes you much more sensitive And especially my mom is such a worrywart. And so I know she's got trapped emotions probably up to here. But she is not open to me working on her. And that's her right. But sometimes she drives me crazy with her worry. And I've just realized that that is her normal because she has the trapped emotion of worry in excessive amount. So, Amanda, I'm thrilled that you have that personal awareness that you have an issue with worry. So, it can only get better. All right, so we're going to go back to Susan. It was a pain in her heel, and it's related to being unmindful. I think I really am not going to say that anymore. I'm going to just say not mindful. So let me get an age for Susan. "23. Now, with not being mindful, so young people these days, which is not me, I find are much more mindful and aware. But so I'm getting an age for Susan of about 23. So I think back when I was 23, I was so not mindful. It wasn't a thing. I mean, because it wasn't a thing unless you were sort of a hippie person, but I was younger than the hippies. And so it was a more serious time for me where you didn't connect to your intuition, and people who did and talked about it were considered really sort of, it's a nice word, strange. So like my family thinks I'm weird because I talk about things like that. But they are getting more accepting and realizing that the world is changing and not everyone is unmindful. All right, so let's release not mindful for Susan. Okay, so let's see. Did that release? Yes. All right, so Marina wants friendliness. So we're going to do So, Marina, I'm going to use friendliness as your positive emotion, and I'm going to pick two more for you. But I think I'll probably just tap in and just see if there's any trapped emotions that are causing any issues. So, let's see what comes up for Marina. I am just a few years younger, Susan. So, I imagine when you were 23, I mean, like when I was 23, I knew what intuition was, but I didn't understand how to use it, how to access it, or any of that. I was not a mindful person in my 20s at all. I was more into working. So think about, Susan, what does being unmindful or not mindful mean to you? And does that describe a time in your early 20s? Because ages are hard. So I'm thinking it's somewhere 22, 23, 24. All right, so I've got one additional positive emotion for Marina. I'm going to find one more. All right, so Marina chose friendliness, which is wonderful. I chose kind and appreciated. So I like the three of those together, Marina. So I'm going to go ahead and imbue or strengthen these within you. I want you to imagine that you are accepting and strengthening these within you. I'm getting that those strengthened. I can relate to that, Susan. As I said, I'm just a few years younger than you. But with trapped emotions, things can hang on for decades. So I've seen miracles happen when we work on trapped emotions. So I wouldn't necessarily just say it's not a thing, but I would be open. Yes, Marina, I think that's a fabulous combination. Let me just also tune in for you because Marina has been with the group for a long time. So we're going to do a little something, something. And she's from overseas. So she is up in the middle of the night to visit with us. So I am very grateful. So let's just see, is there anything preventing Marina from being extra friendly? So let's see. All right, so I get the energy of narrow-minded, Marina. But it's not yours. And I know you know whose it is. But it's someone that's so close to you that it's affected you. So let's release how this has affected you because it's not yours. So we're going to release and remove narrow-mindedness. Okay, so let's see. Did that release for Marina? Yes, it did. Ooh, and we are running late with our healing pulse number 2. So we're going to start that next. When we come back, Anne and Jeffrey will be next. So with the healing pulse, it is energy work that goes to where we direct it to go. So like for Anne, who has her chest being affected by a cold or flu, Susan's got pain in her left heel, I would suggest rubbing your hands together and placing your hand exactly where you've got that physical discomfort. Now, AJ wanted to work on her sense of humor. AJ, where does your sense of humor live? And is it because your brain holds on tight that it doesn't allow the flow of laughter? Or is it more of a heart thing and just being open? So especially like Angel Light had worthy. Where does that live within you? So with these, I want you to think about where that belief in that energy lives within you. So rub your hands together. Place your hands exactly where you want to receive the energy with each breath in. You are receiving healing energy. With each breath out, you are releasing what needs to be released. So in and accepting the healing. Out, and you're releasing. Okay. So that was healing pulse number 2. Let me know how you did. All right. So, Anne, we're going to look and see if there's some underlying emotional reasons why you've got cold flu affecting your chest. So let's see. So I do get, yes, there's something going on with that that's emotional. So I'm getting the energy of being nervous. Let me get an age for that. Wow, Marina, congrats on being in Austria. That's very cool. So, Anne, nervous. Let me get an age for that. Something around age 23. Interesting, because we've got 19 and 2 at 23. It's always sort of fascinating, the synchronicities of the group. So let's release and remove the trapped emotion of being nervous from some type of event or situation when you're about 23, Anne. So releasing and removing. Okay, so that's releasing. All right, Jeffrey, you are next. Jeffrey really wants to work on being overwhelmed. So let's see if there's anything contributing to that. And I do get yes. So let's find out what that is. And it's the feeling of being unimportant, Jeffrey. Let me get an age and see if there's some type of event or something happened that made you feel this in a deeper way, being unimportant. And somehow that's tied to being overwhelmed. So let's see. I'm getting like age 11, so pretty young. So somewhere 10, 11, 12 in there, you felt very unimportant. You are welcome, Anne. So we're going to do one more healing pulse in a little bit, and then we will be doing, we'll end with aura strengthening. All right, so we're going to release and remove that feeling of being unimportant. And with this, some of these events we might not recollect. But as I'm releasing, I'm also checking to see if we can release. And most of the time, we can tap in and release it, even though we don't remember or recall the exact situation around it. Sometimes with some people, the situation comes back later in time, in a day or two. Other times it just doesn't come back, and that's okay. It's much more interesting if it does, though. But it doesn't work that way for everyone. Okay, so that released. So I'm hoping that helps you feel less overwhelmed. And I'm also hoping, because we released this feeling of being unimportant, that it makes you feel more important, because you don't feel that negativity of being unimportant. All right, so let's do the third healing pulse. So I want you to rub your hands together and then hands exactly where you want to receive the healing energy. And thank you, Charlene, for the like. And just breathe that in. So especially those of you with physical things you want to work on. Other people, if you're not really sure where to send it, sometimes I send it to my heart. Sometimes I send it to the third eye because that's sort of a fun thing. So just keep breathing that in, breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Okay, so that was your third healing pulse. Let me know how we did or how you did. And next, I think I'm going to pull a few group negative beliefs. And then we will work on aura strengthening. Just find where this is. There we go. So this week we just have one negative belief. So let's see what that is. And it's I am flawed. Let's see what percent of people watching now and later on the replay have this negative belief. Oh, that's fabulous, Susan. So Susan just wrote that her heel is doing better. Thank you for sharing that, Susan. That's fabulous. I'm just so glad for you. So 55% have the negative belief at some point in their life, I am flawed. So let's go ahead and release that. Okay, so that released. All right, next, we're going to do aura strengthening. So with this, I always encourage people to use their own energies, their own frequencies. But if using energy and frequencies is new to you, feel free to use the healing pulse energy. And with the aura strengthening, I imagine that we are using the energy to send the energy out around us in like a bubble. And that, especially if you put a hint of reflectivity in, it will bounce back to negative people and spewing negativity. So you don't want it to be like entirely mirror-like, because especially if you're driving or walking, you don't want people to, run into you. But if you sort of tone down the reflectivity or put pieces of mirror in, it helps it do the reflecting. So with this, so what we're going to do is we're going to send to our outer aura wall and imagine we are strengthening it, making it more protective. But then I want you to think about, what are you needing today? When I look at some of the energies here, so like Jeffrey, overwhelmed. So what can we fill up that's more the opposite of overwhelmed? What if Jeffrey was energized and confident? What if Marina filled up her aura with friendliness, kindness, and appreciation? What if Amanda filled up her inner bubble instead of being full of worry? What if she was full of also confidence? Because really confident people don't spend a lot of time worrying. So, what if she spent it confidence and enthusiasm? AJ. AJ wants more of a sense of humor. What if she filled up her aura with a lightness of laughter, especially if you ever watch little kids laugh, they are just so pure and funny. Especially on YouTube when you see these little kids, 2, 3, or sometimes less than 1, when they get the giggles. And they're not always laughing at anything, but they're just so adorable. And that love. So let's go ahead, rub our hands together, whether you're using your own healing frequencies and pulling in the healing pulse energy or just your own. So I want you to start sending out, beaming out. Okay, so send that out. And then as you're sending this out, imagine, what are you filling up your bubble with? What's going to help you the most? It's going to make your day really good. Okay, so that was aura strengthening. I hope you liked it, and I hope you liked what we did today. We will be back again on May 1st. Let me see what day of the week that is. Wow, that's already next Thursday, May 1st. And it'll be 7 Central. And I hope to see you guys and see how you're doing and see what else we're going to work on. But I'm so glad that you have spent some time with me and that I'm hoping that I made things at least a little better for you. Yes, time does fly, but I want everyone who has celebrated Easter to end your day on a really happy note. And just thank you for being here. Have a good night.